everyone. Welcome to BigBang's 2023 Spring Middle and High School Success webinar. This is led by BigBang Artwork's online learning department. We're excited to have you here. And today we'll be going through two sections. The first is prepared questions. The second will be Q&A. You can submit Q&A at any time through the Q&A feature on the bottom bar. They will be answered at the end. So welcome, I am Min. I am the VP of Online Learning here at BigBang Artwork. I'm an 11th grader at Saratoga High School, and we're excited to have you. How about Sabrina and Ariel? Can you guys introduce yourselves as well?
Hi, my name's Sabrina. I'm also an 11th grader at Saratoga High School, and I'm a mentor at BigBang Artwork. I teach Spanish 1 and Spanish 2.
Hi, I'm Ariel. I'm also a junior. I'm at Basis Independent Silicon Valley. I'm a blog content writing intern, and I'll be teaching the speech class.
All right, let's look at our contents today, the areas of questions we'll be going through. Can you go to the next slide, Ariel?
Yes.
Great, so we'll start off talking about homework and courses, course selection, etc. Next is extracurriculars. Next, we have school lifestyle. We'll end with couple general questions, and finally the open Q&A. All right, let's begin with our homework and courses question. So the first one is, how did you choose classes in middle and high school, and what has been your most important class to date? How important are math levels and AP courses? I can start us off. So, when it comes to course selections, I always look for classes that I want to take first. This may include my interests or classes I performed well in before. So keep in mind that there are GE or general education classes and requirements you need to fulfill, and these may include, and they usually include English, math, foreign language, maybe some history or other requirements. And they really depend on the school you're at. If you're unaware of this, I suggest you go seek your counselor's advice. They will also let you know whether you're able to fulfill the credits or not. Remember, there are also like art credits like in orchestra that can be fulfilled by orchestra or a different performing art as well. Beyond these general education classes, there's a lot of ways you can take initiative with electives as well as self-studying. For example, I love psychology and economics. I did research last summer. Neither class is offered at the AP level for my school. So I decided I want to self-study them this year, and that's what I took into consideration when I was choosing my courses. I felt that math isn't necessary for my pathway, and I don't hesitate to take a easy math class because it simply doesn't align with where I want to go and how I performed last year in an honors math level. But I do take the highest level English and US history classes because they are subjects I enjoy. Remember that APs are tangible. You can always sign up and choose not to go. And the difference between an AP class is really specific for the individual class. For example, regular calculus versus AP Calc 1 or regular physics versus Physics 1. Your counselor is always a resource. And if you have like older peers, etc., you can always reach out to them. College courses are also considered 5.0 weighted GPAs, and they're great ways to branching out in case your school doesn't offer a type of niche. Sabrina, do you want to build off of that?
Yeah, so as far as choosing classes in middle and high school, I think my parents definitely pushed me to take a couple of courses. In middle school, I took computers, which is not something that I was like extremely interested in, but my parents wanted me to take it because it's pretty important in today's society to know a little bit about that area. Now in high school, I definitely choose the classes that have most to do with my major. So next year I'm going to be taking Intro to Business because I'd like to major in marketing. And then also, as far as language classes, I chose Spanish because I feel like it's a pretty widely spoken language. So you are able to like communicate better with a bunch of people. And then as far as math level and AP courses, I would say it's not extremely important to take an advanced math class. It obviously depends on your major. Like if you want to do something related to STEM, it's probably a bit more important. And then for AP classes, I think they are helpful because it raises your GPA, so it looks better for college applications. but also they're not required. So if you want to take an AP class for something that's not related to your major, I probably wouldn't suggest it. Yeah.
I do want to add though, for students that are unsure about their major, it's important to take a wide variety of classes to see what you're interested in. For example, one of my very good friends took engineering this year to see whether she's interested in pursuing an engineering career per se. Now, when it comes to AP classes, remember, I don't ever suggest you take an AP for something you don't like or a high level class because sometimes it does affect your GPA adversely. You may get a B, you may not be motivated to work on the class. That's something to always keep in mind. All right. The next question is, how do you motivate yourself to work on difficult or boring classes? Should you take classes you don't like? This is something we already touched on a bit, but Ariel, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So, for the first question, I would say to not rely too much on motivation because it dies out super easily. So, maybe focus on building discipline instead. And there's value in every single class. And I think someday, like all the dots are going to connect, and you're just going to end up using a little bit of everything. And when you see that, it's easier to concentrate and just sit down and do the work. And for taking classes you don't like, if it aligns with your end goal, then yeah, because you should prioritize achieving your goals over solely doing things you enjoy. So long term over short term. So if I wanted to major in neuroscience, for example, I think I'd go for AP Psych as an elective, even if I didn't enjoy it. So just prioritize what you want to major in and what you ultimately want as a career.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's also a reason we have general education because, for example, you'll never know if you're going to use chemistry again in your career, right? The fact of the matter is that you're not going to be able to choose what courses you have to take a lot. And a lot of these times the courses are tough, but they're still integral to your success. I remember I really hated Chem Honors when I began, like with a passion, but I realized that I learned a lot about studying and grew to enjoy it after the first semester. And I did forge a relationship with my teacher, even though I wasn't the best student by any means. It's helped me seek TA positions, and I have I have a reputation within the science department. And a lot of times you don't have a choice whether you are going to have to take a GE class or not. So don't complain. You should use it to your advantage. When it comes to doing homework, there's important thing about goals, which is that you have to strike like a really good balance. Stretching out your goals over a long period of time may cause you to lose motivation, right? And as Ariel said, motivation dies down. So you really want to be able to be concise and definitive about what you want and will help achieve your goals. Um, I think finding a group of people I could study with really helped me with motivation because like I enjoy studying more and I'm motivated to be around similarly motivated students. So one of my favorite quotes is, if you want to become an eagle, you must fly with them first. You should always surround yourself with people that you feel you look up to. And also enjoy being around. And this can very much help you motivate yourself. For the next question, what is one tip for doing homework? Maybe all of us could share this one question. What is one tip you have for doing homework? We can all each share one tip we have for homework. Sabrina, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I definitely would not suggest using the Pomodoro method. Whenever I try using that, what happens is I'll do one set of 25 minutes, like working, and then I'll take a 5 minute break. And then like after the break, I just like do whatever I want. So I'd suggest maybe doing smaller assignments instead. So you finish one assignment and then you take a break. And that way you're just a little bit more motivated and maybe you feel like you accomplished something. So it sort of encourages you to keep working.
Yeah. Ariel, do you have a tip you want to share?
Yeah, I would. This is kind of cliche, but definitely remove all distractions. You're not going to be able to focus with notifications popping up or with unrelated tabs open. And your mind's always going to be operating at the surface level of your homework. So if you just turn do not disturb on, and you and you close all your relevant tabs, it's so much easier to just immerse yourself in what's in front of you and the task at hand.
Right. I
So
completely wrestle with both of those. As someone who does research in psych, I completely understand how these different things interact, your brain, especially with like dopamine, and notifications are not helpful. Neither I do not like the Pomodoro. I'm completely anti-Pomodoro, but it's again, there's no one size fits all for studying. It's all about, learning what fits you. But I learned a tip from a YouTube channel a couple years ago, which is doing one part of your homework. For example, in a math class, doing one question. And this for me is so great because it gives you a good visualization or not of not only how long it will take to complete the assignment, but what it will take to complete the assignment. This will really assist you in being able to plan it out throughout the day and not being afraid to just dive in and get it done. I always find myself dragging and reluctant to start a new assignment because I'm like, oh, I have to read all the instructions, I have to get acquainted with it, I have to sit down and find the time. This gets rid of that necessity and that barrier. Okay, we hope these are really helpful for homework and courses. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave in Q&A and we'll get back to it at the end. All right, next section. Now we'd love to touch on extracurriculars. Where and how did you find and select extracurriculars? What about summer programs? Ariel, go ahead and take it away with this one.
So yeah, speech is my primary extracurricular, and I started in 6th grade, and I kind of just signed up on a whim. I was exploring my options, and that's definitely something you should start in middle school. And for other extracurriculars, I do internships, and I found them by just looking online. So one resource that was really helpful was Idealist, and I can put the link in the chat in a bit. And I also suggest looking for job openings on the websites of organizations that you're interested in. So that's actually how I applied for BigBang Artwork. And a lot of organizations are going to have that section on their websites.
Yeah. For me, extracurricular wise, I do a couple clubs, and I find that I always choose quality over quantity. So in school, I mean, our school has over 60 clubs. There's so many. And I joined, I think, 8 in the beginning of the year, which is way too many. And I found that I really enjoyed 2 of them. And I stuck to those and I became officers in those. I'm currently an executive in 2 clubs. And I think that's so important, which is to choose a couple. Like, you cannot hold on and grasp to all of them and expect to be good in all of them. Also, to find organizations, I think your parents are also great resources. Like, I know my mom has so many connections around, and she's talking with other parents as well. She helped me get into a lot of nonprofits that I work with and organizations. Your friends as well, because they're just like you, they're doing similar things, and so you should use them all as resources. I think that, for example, websites like Volunteer Match can help match you with organizations that you are intrinsically aligned with, or you can just search up, for example, like student nonprofits, for etc. I really chose organizations I find match with my goals and that I love. For example, Big Bang. Like, I'm here as VP of Online Learning, and I've cut quite a few activities to make this time commitment, and I don't regret it at all because I enjoy the role that I'm in, as well as what the organizations stand for. And I think that's what Sabrina, Ariel, and me, like, we all resonate with, which is finding a place in Big Bang, and you really want to find that niche as well. Summer programs is a whole nother topic that we can also touch on, but I find that always choose your interests rather than brand names, because a lot of times brand names are very deceiving. For example, Harvard, the Harvard summer program is not difficult to get into. However, they do use their name to sap money out of you. Do your research, choose programs that look better even without the brand name. All right, question 2, how do you balance extracurriculars with schoolwork? Sabrina, do you want to touch on this?
Yeah, so I agree with Min about quality over quantity. Definitely choose things that are more important to you and that you feel you're actually working towards something, being a part of it. Don't just join like a bunch of random extracurriculars and clubs just because you think it'll look good on your application, because colleges definitely would prefer to see you having sort of one theme in your application rather than having a bunch of random things. So as far as balancing extracurriculars with schoolwork, it definitely helps to have an organized schedule. I have a schedule that I made myself, and I printed it out and put it right next to my desk, so I always follow it. And I made sure to allow myself some free time on the days that I have enough time for free time. And this way, on some of my busier days, I have something to look forward to. And I think that really just helps me stay organized. And also just like following your schedule. Like it's hard to do that, I'll admit. Sometimes I'm working on my homework and I just get distracted with my phone. So I think just making sure to follow your schedule is just a good way to stay balanced. And also, I would say just using like whenever you have extra time, if you have free time at school in a class, if your teacher gives you time to work on your homework, I would say definitely use it instead of like goofing off with your friends. So yeah, that's like those are a couple of ways that I stay balanced.
All right. And what do you do to support your school and community? Ariel, do you want to speak about this?
Yeah, sure. I'm vice president of my school's speech club. So I help out younger or newer students with, like blocking up movements, emotional delivery, memorization, stuff like that. And there's also volunteering. There are just a ton of ways to help. And you can like create graphics to raise awareness for current climate change events. And you can write, educational blog articles on middle and high school topics.
Great. All right. Let's move on from extracurriculars to school lifestyle. And the first question is, how do you add leisure to your everyday life? Well, I am not ashamed to say that I have quite a bit of leisure sometimes. I am not a hyperproductive student. And I'm certainly not a robot. Sometimes I wish I am. I'm not. And I'm the type of person that has a really short attention span, and I have to own up to that. Um, and you're not a robot either. It's kind of all about balance. And I think the ideal thing is to get all your work done and still enjoy your day. Some people utilize Pomodoro, which we touched on. I don't like it because every 25 minutes you have to segment your thought. So it's like in the last like 5 minutes of your session, you're already thinking, hey, like I'm almost done with this. Like I can just like come back to this later after my break, right? And you completely forget it. You're not in that study mindset after your 5 minute break either. So Pomodoro, not for me. Maybe for you, just try it out. The good thing about middle school is it's such an experimental time where you have time to do things and not really face too many repercussions for it. One thing is great that is great is daily checklists. And why? I think they're really great because of drugs. Not narcotics, more like neurotransmitters. If we talk about, for example, dopamine. Our brains release dopamine which causes positive feelings such as happiness, pleasure, motivation, and this gives you a cycle of productivity. You feel good when you do your work. You feel better when you finish your work, which motivates you to do your own work, do more work. So it's all about finding that balance and reminding yourself that breaks are productive. They don't take away from your experience, and you need to have a break. Um, I'm really shocked sometimes when I look at my students and the workloads they have, and I just think, how do you do it? And I don't ever want someone to be what I call a shooting star, which means they go really fast and they burn out. You don't want to be a shooting star. Take a break. All right. How do you find and choose your group of friends? Ariel, I think you'd be great for this question.
Yeah, so a rule of thumb, if you feel tired after hanging out with someone, maybe like rethink your relationship with them. So like be with people who share your values, who you can really just like let loose with, who are honest with you, but still polite, and who don't just text you when they need you for something, and who remember small things about you.
Yeah, Sabrina, do you have anything else to contribute?
Yeah, I would say like don't hang out with people who like don't even try to be friends with you. Like as Ariel said, if they just reach out to you because like they want something from you, like I know a lot of my friends like they reach out to some of their friends who have licenses just to get like a ride from them. And I think it's honestly like it's not a good thing just to do that. So if you have friends who you feel like you're constantly asking them to hang out and they're never asking you, I would say just cut them off. Like honestly, just don't deal with that.
And I want to add that you can have friends for different like niches sometimes. For example, I have a group, I have a crying group. I have a like go out to restaurants type of group. So it's all about like the people and what type of environment you want to be surrounded because like again, you will become who you're around, right? Hopefully you don't live in a zoo. But anyway, so you can have different groups of friends and just make sure that they all resonate with you, that you're like sure that they're on your side. For question three, what do you do about teachers and classmates you don't get along with? Considering you're from Basis, Ariel, I think you would also be great for this question. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I would first consider why I don't get along with them. If they're the ones who don't like you, that's not really your problem because, you can't control how others feel about you or how they perceive you, and you really don't need to. Trying to control that is gonna eat you alive. So, just focus on people that you love and people who genuinely care about you. And yeah, because they're what matter the most.
Yeah, what about you, Sabrina?
For teachers, I definitely say just suck it up, and just deal with it. Like you want your teacher to feel good, like after you go to their class. So for me personally, if I have a teacher I don't like, I always try to like show that teacher that I want to do well in their class because I feel like that way they're more inclined to maybe give you a better grade, you know? So after I leave a teacher's class, I always make sure to say goodbye or thanks just so that they like me a bit more. And then as far as classmates, if you don't like them, I would say just try to avoid them. There's no reason to create unnecessary drama. And if you get seated to someone like that you don't like, just ask the teacher privately to move you. Like, and as Ariel said, if somebody doesn't like you, honestly, who cares? Like, just do your thing.
Yeah, what you both said is very powerful. I completely agree. I think like, for example, one thing that I notice a lot is I rant to people about stuff. Like I rant to them about like politics, etc. So many people disagree with me in politics, and I realize that you can't really change their minds. They're all set in their own ways. So if someone hates me, like go hate me, go waste your energy hating on me, right? But it really doesn't matter to me. And the fact is, I can't change that perspective of you, right? When it comes to a teacher, though, that's different because you really need to interact with this teacher and you're stuck with them too. So what's important is you want to show them that you're a good student, like you perform well in the class. And at least you like if okay, sure, you can hate me, but you can't say I'm a bad student, if that makes sense. And for your teacher, you never like you want to always be understanding because like I remember one teacher who told me like the story of like what she's going through, etc. And they are human too. You know, they make mistakes. They are as busy as you, like believe that. They're as busy as you. And they're all trying as well. You make mistakes, so do teachers. And I feel like try to be understanding and you need to at least try to repair your relationship with teachers because you're stuck with them for a year. Like I don't you are not just gonna like walk like not attend their class for a year. So do your best to establish links with your teachers and they will help you in the long run. They'll help you enjoy class more. They'll help you get better grades. They'll help you get a rec letter. And there's really nothing you can do about um, a teacher scenario. All right, so that's our section on school lifestyle. Now let's move on to general questions or sort of miscellaneous ones. What did your parents do that were helpful and or unhelpful to you? And I think Sabrina, you can start this one off.
Yeah, so personally, I don't struggle doing my schoolwork. I would say that I'm pretty motivated in that area. So I just come back from practice and I get started on my work and I'm fine. Also with like studying for tests, like overall, I get pretty good grades. So for me, it was helpful for my parents to just like leave me be and like just let me do my own thing. Um, I don't like having helicopter parents, especially because I feel like I can do it by myself. So it's like, why are you monitoring me when I'm okay? So yeah, my parents just let me be whenever I was working. But I know my brother struggled to do his homework. He's just not very motivated there. So I think for him it was more helpful to sort of have my parents always monitor over him. And going to Saratoga High, we use an app or a website called Canvas to get our homework. So I know my parents would always check his Canvas every night just to make sure that he was doing everything.
That's a great recommendation. Do you have one, Ariel?
Yeah, something helpful that my parents did. They really emphasize the long term. So they don't really care about poor grades as long as they can see that I make the active effort to learn from them. And they don't really want me to focus on perfecting every test. For example, they want me to focus on seeing every test as like a stepping stone to the AP. Something that's unhelpful is screen time limits because parents phones aren't always the problem, and restricting screen time it's so much less effective then a detailed explanation into why cutting screen time is important. And direct punishment can create a ton of resentment. So yeah.
Yes, I think both Ariel and Sabrina touched on really important points, which is micromanaging, right? Like my mom, one thing that I really like attribute to her is like she has trust in me, which appreciate immensely. Like she will not check my grades. She will not, well, she will like occasionally, she won't pester me about it. She'll ask me, is everything on track? Do you need anything from me? That's so helpful to me. It shows that she really cares and also like is allowing me to blossom on my own, to grow on my own because like parents like you're not going to be always there for your kids once they go off to college. I mean, they can do whatever, right? And having this micromanage type of culture at home, I've seen it lead to adverse things once kids leave the house. They become like um a lot freer and make poor decisions when they're not able to make decisions on their own. So I think we all are in consensus that micromanaging isn't great. Now looking back, what are some things you guys wish you did sooner? Ariel, do you have one?
Yes. I wish I could have focused on depth rather than breadth. I think I signed up for way too much stuff at the beginning of the year. And that created like a ton of conflict. And a lot of the things I signed up for weren't super relevant to what I ultimately want to achieve. So it just, I mean, it wasn't like a waste of time, but it took up a lot of space that could have been used for other things.
Right. I'm looking a bit more back. If you knew me in sixth or seventh grade, if they just took the grades I had in sixth and seventh grade and put me to college, I would probably be at community college at the moment. I think I was so I was not a great student in middle school, and I was really irked by that fact. I was like, maybe I'll just give up because I'm not doing well. And I find that mindset is so, so damaging. In middle school, your grades don't matter. Like, I hate to break this to people, but unless you're like applying to private high school, etc., your grades are not going to go to college. Even high school classes that you took, like Algebra 1, Spanish 1B, they're not going to college. So that's really important to recognize. You have time to experiment. You have really do. And I think that just focusing on growth and what you can do to every day to improve yourself without micromanaging that one point or going to a teacher and begging to run your grade. It's more about learning. And I know it sounds cliche, but looking back, I really wish I did do that instead of either giving up or losing motivation. Sabrina?
Yeah, so I was opposite of Min in middle school. I was like really obsessed with doing my homework and I always got like pretty good grades, I would say. I do wish that I had focused more on extracurriculars and tennis rather than school. I thought it was really my grades in middle school, I thought they were really important. So I definitely spent a lot more time on my homework and studying for tests than I did on tennis. And I kind of regret that because like now when it's really important, I'm rushing to find all these extracurriculars and build up my application. And on top of that, I have to focus on getting good grades. So I wish that I focused less on my grades in middle school and I sort of focused more on expanding like my extracurriculars and building them up back then.
Right. I mean, it's great we're touching a bit on middle school, which leads us to our next question. Does anyone have a message they want to share for current middle school students?
Yeah. I would say to really figure out what you're passionate about right now. And that because that really paves the way for for high school, sorry. And just ask yourself like what are things that you would do for free? Like what are topics you could spend hours thinking about and researching? And I found that really having a direction and a purpose, it helps with tuning out a lot of toxicity because you're focusing on yourself and your journey towards personal growth.
Right. I think that's a powerful message, and we'll leave it at that. What are your plans for the future? I guess I can start off for this. I mean, looking really close into the future this summer, I hope I go to a great summer program that I'm gonna really enjoy. Maybe it will help me grow my work experience as well. One of my main resolutions is spending more time with loved ones. And I feel like my recent life experiences, I lost someone really close to me, and that really struck me hard. I realized like I have to keep my circle close and dedicate the time and show the care to people that I'm around, because your time on this earth is very fickle, and I'm trying to relieve that type of like only thinking about school mentality and only thinking about myself. At the same time, I want to enjoy life. I want to pursue my passions, and I feel that going through summer program is a great way to do that. I am in complete power in summer. I can choose what summer programs I go to, what extracurriculars I want to pursue, and I will do not what makes me look better, but what makes me feel better and what I enjoy doing. That's why I'm here today. That's why I'm at Big Bang and not at different organizations. That's why I've chosen to um, work really closely with Big Bang. And I think that my plans for the future um, are going to be to focus on my self growth. And as Ariel said, like filter out the toxicity, the things that really don't matter. Ariel, what about you?
Um, I'm staying open. I One of my New Year's resolutions was to really remember why I'm doing what I'm doing, not just what I'm doing. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the whole college application process, and we'll start prioritizing the wrong things, like just doing things for the sake of doing things. But like getting into a good college, it doesn't really matter if you ignore everything else that's also important. So yeah, like Min said, spending time with loved ones, and just doing what you're passionate about.
Great. All right, Sabrina.
For me, I definitely have a more laid out pathway. I would like to play Division 1 tennis in a top 20 college. And then I want to major in marketing, and I would like to find a job in Europe. Um, like also I would like to spend more time with my loved ones, like Min and Ariel both touched on. I think it's really important just to like what you do. Money isn't everything. It is a like big part, and I would like to obviously have a lot of money because it helps enjoy life. But I think just like living in the moment and sort of just enjoying what you're doing.
Right. All right, and that leads us to our final question. Why are you a part of Big Bang? Ariel, can you start us off for this one?
Yeah. I started off as a content writing intern, and it's helped me so much with, developing research ability and meeting deadlines. And I then joined the wonderful tutoring team because I want to use my experience in speech to help others. I think it's actually a lesser known extracurricular. It doesn't just follow like a TED Talk format. It's monologues, and it's, like two people pieces. I like to call it competitive drama. And there aren't a ton of speech resources. So I want to help out in any way I can. And I love how Big Bang Artwork is all about creativity and teamwork. And I genuinely love working here so much.
All right, Serena.
For me, I really wanted to connect myself with a larger group. I have done tutoring in the past, individually. So I felt like Big Bang would help me connect with more students and sort of have a larger outreach. And also, like Ariel said, I like how Big Bang gives us a lot of like choices and what we want to do. It's just a lot of flexibility, and I feel like that's not really offered at other organizations.
Right. I agree with Ariel on speech and debate point, which is that like I've learned so much from being a public speaker. I teach public speaking at Big Bang, a course called Becoming a Confident Public Speaker. And I really want to take the information I have learned and contribute it back to people. And I think that I've seen so many of my students grow. I am genuinely endlessly happy when I see my students grow, enjoy class. That means so much to me. And I feel like if I were a student, okay, this not to sound self-absorbed. If I were a student, I would love to be in my class. And I think that Big Bang really aligned with me on this. It their goals of youth empowerment aligned with my own. Not only that, but the creative differences I'm allowed here really allow me to be the best teacher I can be and express myself. That's really what's I volunteered at a lot of different organizations. I can attest that I feel built up, especially by people I work really closely with, like Lisa, Hema. They've all built me up and allowed me to express my creative differences. And I think that working at Big Bang has definitely been a different experience from any other nonprofit I've worked at, and I really hope I can continue my time here. All right, this concludes our pre-written questions section. Next, we're moving on to our open Q&A. To remind you, I think on the next slide, there should be a explanation of how we're going to conduct Q&A. On the bottom tab of the Zoom, you can click the Q&A button and submit your answers. We will either answer them with a written response if we need more information, or we'll also answer them live. Feel free to do this at any time. Your answers will be shared anonymously and they will not be visible to any other attendees. All right, we'll wait for a couple to flow in. Okay, so our first question here, what is better? An A in an honors, sorry, an A in an in sorry, a B in an AP course or an A in a regular course? Anyone have I mean, I've only taken two APs so far, self-study two, so I may not be the best one to answer this. Ariel, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say it really depends on the course. Not every AP course has the same difficulty level. AP environmental science isn't as hard as AP stats, and the same goes for regular courses. And I'd say it really depends on again, like what your end goal is. If you get in an A in a regular course, but it's relevant to your end goal, then that's definitely better than a B in an AP course.
Also, one thing I want to contribute, I took honors chem, which is the highest science I could take in 10th grade, and I got a B in first semester. I got an A in second semester, but the B really, that hurt. It was such a tough semester for me, but I learned so much from that experience, and I grew. I feel like I grew. That was the first class that taught me how to work my butt off and like before tests, and I did like have a lot of anxiety through it, but it's kind of that rite of passage when you go to high school is like the first time you take that really hard course and you just have to like power through it. All right, next question. Should my student be playing a sport? Sabrina, go ahead.
Um, I I think it helped me a lot because tennis just allows me to sort of get out all my like nerves and stress that sort of built up that day. I also have friends like at my tennis clinic that don't go to my school, so I can also complain about my school to them. As far as college, I think tennis will help me get into a good college. That would probably be the same for other sports. But, I think it helps just a lot to exercise. Um, it depends how much you would like to practice daily because like you want to ensure that you have enough time to do your homework. So yeah, I think overall it just depends on if you enjoy that sport and what you're planning on doing with it.
Right, I completely agree. Depends on the person. For me, like for example, as a musician, sometimes I just get so lost in playing piano or violin, and I love it. It's like relaxation, right? Decompression. I feel like for some people, sports is the same way. And remember, break time is always necessary. I think we touch on this a lot in our preset questions. But if it's something you enjoy, then go ahead and do it. It will certainly help with your productivity, and of course, it is intrinsic to your health as a student. All right, so our next one. Should my student be in speech and debate? Personally, for me, I teach becoming a confident public speaker. I think speech and debate has taught me the most valuable skills I've learned. I learned how to be confident, how to assert my opinions. I work for political campaigns. I know how to concisely express my opinion. I know how to refute someone else's statement. And I think I have become far more independent with speech and debate, comparative to my middle school self. I think without it, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here today. Speaking to you guys, I certainly wouldn't be as good of a student as I am. And it's taught me so many skills I need. For example, an A push, where we're writing, for example, long essay questions or document-based questions in which you need to contextualize, introduce evidence as well as reasoning, all of which is taught in speech and debate. And day-to-day interactions, people skills, and what you'll use in your academic and professional careers are in speech and debate. And there is a place in speech and debate for everyone, no matter if you're a good student or a bad student, no matter if you are like really shy or extremely confident and outgoing, there's a place and a topic for everyone, and I suggest you look into it. And it's the same way, like, you cannot know whether you like something or not by not trying it. Ariel, do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, speech has similarly to what you said, speech has helped me with so much. It's taught me, like simultaneous vulnerability and confidence. I've learned so much about teamwork, because it's just one big family and you go to tournaments together, and tournaments taught me a lot about like accepting defeat with grace, and just really being happy for people, even when you didn't win yourself, and leadership too. If you're a more experienced speech student, you can focus on helping other people in your club. It's not going to be about you and your script all the time.
Right. Is GPA or extracurriculars more important? Ooh, this is a tough question. Anyone want to take this one?
I would say GPA is more of like a baseline assessment for colleges. Like, it shows that you can handle and survive college academics, but extracurriculars are where you can really shine and show who you are. So they're both important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Because on your transcript, you're not going to get this lengthy explanation like, oh, he did this on the LEQ, he did this on the free response question. Like, you're not going to get that. You're going to get A, B, 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 like 5.0, 4.0, or whatever scale you're on when in terms of GPA. I think GPA is important for sure. Like, as it shows your academic readiness to universities, whatever you're applying to, and it is kind of the first step into. I don't want to say it's the most important, but it's super important when it comes to college. And I think that if we look like even beyond college, it's still important to for applying a summer program, etc., because you're going to develop your extracurriculars throughout your academic career, but GPA will always be there. It's always going to be either haunting you, blessing you, or just, being there. And I think extracurriculars are a place where you can focus on personal growth as well as like branching out your individual interests, where you don't have that type of opportunity in general education classes. So I think they're both extremely important. Do not skimp on either. Like, do not like downplay the significance of either. Yeah. Anything
I
to add?
wanted to add to that actually. I agree with Min on how they're both important, but I personally would say extracurriculars are a bit more important than GPA. Obviously, if you have like a 2.0 GPA, even if you have a bunch of extracurriculars, like the chances of you going to a good college are pretty low. But if you have like a decent GPA, like I would say 3.7 and up on weighted GPA, if you have extracurriculars, then you'll be okay. But if you have, a 4.0 GPA and zero extracurriculars, I would say there's less of a chance of you getting in than the other option.
Right, it's all about a balancing act, right? I think one thing to point out about college admissions is there's always a percentile. So your GPA, if it doesn't meet, for example, the 25th to 75th percentile, you may just not even, like, they may not look at your application further, right? So you kind of always have to have that baseline GPA. Again, like 3.5 is depending on the person you ask, is a relatively good GPA. You're a B and an A student, right? You get about half A's and half B's. When it comes to me, like, I'm open about it. I have like a 3.76 GPA. Like, obviously, like last year has been super difficult for me. A lot of personal issues plagued me and plagued my GPA as well. But I am not defined by that. Like, you cannot look at a GPA and say, oh, that Min, he must be like, oh, he must be shut down, like he must have like mental breakdowns all the time. But extracurriculars are where you get to know the person. And colleges will be able to look into that more, and they'll really see, like, they want you to be that type of student that is that has things that they're interested in, and it really has a pathway, and that's what extracurriculars show. All right, next question. Should I be checking my students' grades? Ooh.
I can add onto this. So, as I was saying earlier, my brother and I were very different. I personally don't struggle with getting good grades in school. I come home, I do my homework, and I study for my tests, and I go and do well. But my brother, on the other hand, he does struggle to do his homework and he does struggle to study for tests. So, as a parent, if your child is doing okay in school, I would say there's no need to check their grades. If you trust them and they have consistently been doing well, maybe occasionally, yeah, I would say check their grades because some kids might be afraid to go to their parents and ask for help. They might say, oh, if I go and show my parents that I got a C in this test, they're going to yell at me and ground me. But a lot of parents, they want to help their kids. They don't feel like they don't want to get upset with their kids for getting bad grades. So I think, yeah, it's good to check your kids' grades every once in a while, but again, don't be a helicopter parent and check every night.
Yes, I agree. Ariel, do you have something to add on?
Yeah, I would say it's good to have, like a general idea of where your student is at. But as Sabrina said, checking every evening, for example, it can weigh a lot on a student's mental health. And it'll become easy for students to start studying to please you instead of, like learning to learn.
That's a super important point. Yeah. Um, all right, that's all the questions we have submitted now. So I'll allow a bit of time for other question submissions. Other than that, I want to remind you all that we are part of BigBang Artwork. We are all mentors to different courses, and we're looking to provide that mentorship to you and your students. And so if you can go to the next slide, Ariel, we talk a bit about how you can register for our classes, as well as just get more out with more time with us personally. You can please, 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 if you have any questions, reach out to us on email. Scan this QR code and you can find all our information here, as well as our courses. We'd love to get you to know you and your student, and we'd love to have you in one of our classes. We can guarantee the same type of quality as the responses you've gotten today, which I hope have been beyond excellent, in my opinion, from these our lovely panelists. If not, then we are wrapping up today's webinar. We hope that we've answered a couple of your questions. And if you have any, again, feel free to reach out. I'm going to leave my email in the chat for easy access, and other panelists can do the same. But thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you in one of our classes.
Thank you for joining us, you guys.